Not every abandoned woman needs a lovesick second male lead to redeem her. The day I heard Michael say, "The thought of Jenny's hands touching so much blood just makes me disgusted," I understood at once. He had fallen for the new female intern at his company. I handed him the divorce papers calmly. After all, my life had never revolved solely around him. But when he later could not find me, Michael went mad. That night, he pulled his hand away from mine and turned his back to me. "I'm a bit tired today, not in the mood," he muttered. It was my ovulation period, the day we had agreed to conceive, but now he was rejecting me. Perhaps realizing his coldness was too much, Michael turned back, wrapped me in his arms, and kissed my forehead. "Be good. Sleep." Hearing his even breathing soon after, I knew something was broken between us. The next day, I left the hospital early and carefully prepared a romantic candlelight dinner, hoping to surprise him. Yet, just as I was about to enter, I overheard Michael speaking with his close friend, Ivan Liu. "I used to really love Jenny. I couldn't get enough of her. But now, just thinking about her hands touching so much blood makes me disgusted." Ivan chuckled. "Basically, you're just tired of her." Michael didn't deny it. "Have you gotten involved with that little secretary? Her name is Jessica, right?" Ivan pressed. Michael remained silent for a long time before finally whispering, "Almost." "Then you'd better be careful," Ivan warned. "We all saw how much you once loved Jenny, you were willing to die for her. Don't go too far, or you'll burn all your bridges. No one will be able to save you then." Michael sneered. "Do you think she'd give up 10 years of her youth so easily?" His words chilled me to the bone, as though I had fallen into an ice pit. I suddenly understood the real reason for his constant rejections these days. It wasn't that he was tired, he simply found me disgusting. Those 2 words pierced my heart like 1,000 needles, stealing my breath away. He knew how precious 10 years of a woman's youth were, and yet he used that very truth as a weapon against me. I remembered the name Jessica. She was the new intern Michael had hired at his company. I could still recall the look in his eyes the first time he mentioned her, brimming with undisguised admiration. He had told me she initially lost to other candidates during the interview, but refused to accept the result. She begged the interviewer repeatedly, nearly in tears, almost on her knees. Such persistence was rare among young people. In the end, moved by her pitiful display, Michael ignored the rules, eliminated a more qualified candidate, and hired her instead. I frowned at the time. Isn't this emotional blackmail? Interviews should be based on ability, not who looks more pitiful. This is unfair to the others. Michael had scowled at me, uncharacteristically sharp. "How did you become so heartless, even as a doctor? Have I protected you too well?" I wasn't shaken by his accusation. I stood by my view, and for that, we spent the night giving each other the cold shoulder. The next day, Michael humbled himself, apologized, and reconciled with me. Still, I never forgot Jessica's name. I didn't expect her to later become Michael's personal secretary. From then on, he stopped sharing company matters with me. People always have a need to confide. If he wasn't telling me, then he was telling someone else. It turned out that every change had its trace. That night, I went to bed early. I felt the mattress dip as Michael lay beside me, and a cold hand slipped around my waist. Disgust rose in my throat, but I forced it down and grabbed his hand as it reached for the hem of my clothes. "I don't feel well," I said coldly. Michael paused. I could sense his desire, knew it was hard for him to restrain himself, yet he didn't press forward. Instead, he tucked the blanket around me thoughtfully, then retreated to the bathroom, to take care of himself. As always, he carried his phone with him. Moments later, my phone buzzed. A friend request appeared, and to my surprise, the profile picture was Jessica's. I hesitated, took a deep breath, and accepted. Almost instantly, she sent me a screenshot, a chat log between her and Michael, timestamped just after he had stepped into the bathroom. Jessica had given him the name of a hotel and a room number. Her message read, "I don't expect you to divorce. I only want to give my first time to the man I love most. If you don't come, I'll find someone else, it doesn't matter who, as long as it isn't you. Don't regret it." Michael's reply was only 2 words, "Wait for me." As I finished reading, Michael came out of the bathroom. "Honey, there's an urgent issue at the office. I need to go." He had used this excuse countless times before, slipping away in the middle of the night. And because I trusted him, I had never questioned it. But now, was it always Jessica? "I'll go with you," I said. Michael hesitated, then smiled gently, patting my head. "Aren't you feeling unwell? Don't push yourself. I'd feel guilty if you got sick. Don't worry, I'll be back soon." Without waiting for my reply, he left. I trailed him in my car, keeping my distance. He drove fast, and I nearly lost him more than once. At the hotel entrance, Jessica was waiting. The moment they saw each other, they embraced and kissed like lovers long suppressed. Swallowing down the bitterness, I raised my phone and snapped several photos. I even recorded a short video. With my own eyes, I watched them disappear into the hotel together. After calming myself in the car, I called my former graduate advisor, Professor Lee, who was abroad. It was morning there. "Professor, do you still need people for your project?" There was a pause of surprise, then his delighted voice, "Have you made up your mind? If it's you, we'll always need more people." When I graduated from my master's program, Professor Lee had urged me to follow him abroad for a rare opportunity. But for Michael, I chose to stay. Over the years, Professor Lee never stopped persuading me. And though I longed to go, I always refused. Now, I could finally leave without hesitation. I didn't regret my past. Back then, Jenny chose love. Now, Jenny chose her dreams. Both times, I followed my heart. In the end, Professor Lee and I agreed I would join him in about a month. Returning home, I pulled a bottle of wine from the cabinet and drank glass after glass. In just 1 month, I would be able to leave for good. My best friend Maura sent me a message on WeChat. "How did it go? Romantic candlelight dinner, right? I told you, Michael loves you so much. Just a little effort, and you'll win him back." Everyone believed Michael loved me. I used to believe it too. But now I understood, when a man is pretending, he can fool the entire world. I glanced at the ring on my finger and gave a bitter smile. Michael had bought it for me after delivering food for 3 long months. Back then, he and his friends had just started a business, pouring every penny into the company. To afford me a decent ring, he worked at the office by day and delivered food at night, often sleeping less than 3 hours. One night, exhausted, he dozed off while riding his scooter and crashed to the ground. If not for a passing car that braked just in time, the consequences would have been unimaginable. When I rushed to the hospital, his hands and feet were bloodied, his clothes soaked red. Yet the moment he saw me, Michael tried to hide his injured hand behind his back. Through tears, I asked why he pushed himself so hard. He clumsily wiped my cheeks, murmuring, "Silly girl, of course I wanted to marry you as soon as possible. What if someone else stole away such a beautiful girl? Now that you're mine, I can't bear to let you go." Later, when we became wealthy and secure, he offered to replace it with a larger diamond. But I always refused. To me, that modest ring was worth more than any diamond. Now, remembering how nervous he had been when he proposed, I slipped off the ring and placed it on the dining table. His vows from back then still echoed in my ears, yet the man before me was no longer the same. I didn't need this ring anymore. That night, Michael texted, "Honey, the issue at work is more complicated than I thought. I might not be back tonight. Don't wait for me, just rest. I'm with Ivan." It was clear they had coordinated their stories. I didn't reply. Having drunk too much, I fell asleep on the sofa. In my dream, I saw him as I had the very first time. We were freshmen, enduring military training. The first words he ever said to me were, "Hey, you're really pretty." Such a corny line, but his roommates teased him for it an entire year. After that, he often chatted with me on WeChat. We weren't in the same major, but somehow, I ran into him on campus again and again. Many people pursued me back then. At first, I had no particular feelings for him. But little by little, I was moved by his persistence and warmth. Once we got together, Michael treated me with utmost care. Everyone envied me for having such a devoted boyfriend. We grew together from undergraduates to graduate students. After I finished my master's, he proposed. I accepted without hesitation. I still remember his eyes reddening with joy as he held me tight and choked out, "Jen, trust me. I'll give you a good life. I won't let you down." But now, I had lost everything, and I could only face the consequences of my own choices. The next morning, I woke to my alarm, my pillow damp with tears. Michael had not come home. I told myself this would be the last time I ever cried for him. I washed my face, steadied my emotions, and prepared for work. I had already decided to resign, but I still had clinic duties and reports to write, work that could not be abandoned. In the adult world, no matter how heartbroken you are, life doesn't pause. Before leaving, I called a lawyer friend to consult about the divorce process. No messy entanglements. No dramatic complaints. I didn't need a lovesick second male lead to appear and redeem me by slapping Michael in the face. My life had never been only about Michael. I had my own path. Divorce was the only ending I could see for us. That morning, I submitted my resignation letter and buried myself in work. The heavy workload numbed me temporarily, letting me forget Michael. But unexpectedly, before I could seek him out, he appeared at the hospital himself. I was carrying documents for a patient's family when I saw him ahead, Michael, holding Jessica's tear-streaked hand as they hurried toward the cardiology department. The ward they entered was the very one I needed to visit. Jessica's mother lay inside, frail and haggard. Jessica sobbed so hard she could barely remain standing. Michael stroked her back gently, comforting her with tenderness. Mrs. Wood said she had no regrets in life, except for leaving her daughter alone with no one to care for her. I raised an eyebrow. Mrs. Wood was my patient. From what I recalled, her condition wasn't this severe. Jessica quickly reassured her mother. Don't worry, I have a boyfriend. When Mrs. Wood asked who it was, Jessica turned to Michael with pleading eyes. Michael slipped his arm around her waist naturally. Auntie, I'm Jess's boyfriend. Please rest well. I'll take good care of her. His doting gaze at Jessica made the act complete. Still unconvinced, Mrs. Wood insisted they kiss before her. Michael looked troubled, glancing around, but Jessica tugged at his sleeve with desperation. Finally, he leaned down and kissed her. Expressionless, I entered the ward. While snapping photos on my phone, I reminded myself that evidence would be useful for the divorce. The moment Michael saw me, he pushed Jessica away. His face turned pale, his eyes filled with unease and fear. Jen. Jessica's resentment vanished instantly. At the sound of my name, she too turned pale with terror. Both of them were afraid I would create a scene. But I remained calm. The family of the patient in bed 03, please come sign the documents. Without another glance, I turned and walked out. Michael and Jessica rushed after me. I handed the forms to Jessica. Your mother only has a blocked blood vessel. Tomorrow she'll undergo a stent procedure, and normally, she'll be discharged in 3 days. This was already explained to her yesterday. Jessica's hand trembled as she held the pen, guilt written all over her face. Michael pressed his lips together. Why are you at this hospital? I transferred here a year ago. He choked, unable to respond. A wife had changed jobs for over a year, and the husband didn't even know, a testament to his neglect. When Jessica handed back the forms, I froze. The address she wrote down was our first home. Michael had once bought it in my name, telling me, this place holds all our beautiful memories. From now on, you're the sole owner. No other woman has the right to enter without your consent. Now, another woman was living there. Michael seemed to realize the implication as well and was about to explain, but Jessica quickly cut in. Sister Jen, I'm sorry. My landlord suddenly decided to sell the house and forced me out. Brother Michael couldn't bear to see me homeless, so he gave me the keys. Don't blame him, blame me. I looked at her pitiful expression. Youth always has a way of stirring sympathy. How long have you been living there? I asked calmly. Jessica froze, clearly unprepared for my composure. 2 months. Very well, Miss Wood. You should know the house is in my name alone. According to the market rate, rent is $8,000 a month. Please transfer the amount within the next 2 days. Also, I plan to sell the house soon, so move out as soon as possible. Jessica's eyes filled with grievance as she turned to Michael, only to find him staring intently at me. Of course, I added coldly. If Miss Wood doesn't have the money, she can find someone else to pay me. I don't care where it comes from, only that I receive it. Michael's face darkened, his jaw clenched. Jenny, is this really necessary? It isn't. When you have time, we can discuss the divorce. At the word divorce, joy flashed across Jessica's face. Michael's expression grew even heavier. Do you have to go this far? I was only helping her. It was just a kiss. Must you make it such a big deal? I sneered. Is that so? Then by your logic, I can help someone else by casually kissing another man too, can't I? How dare you? Michael roared. I laughed bitterly. Double standards suit you well. It seems Mr. Powell didn't have enough fun at the hotel last night. No worries, I'll move out today so you can play at home. Michael froze, his voice turning hoarse. You know everything? I didn't answer. Instead, I said flatly, I'll have my lawyer draft the divorce papers and deliver them soon. As I turned to leave, Michael grabbed my hand. It was only then that he noticed my wedding ring was gone. Jenny, are you serious? I pulled my hand free and walked away. There was nothing left between us to argue over except divorce. Behind me came his frustrated voice, Jenny, you'll regret this. I won't humble myself to beg you again. There are plenty of women who want to be Mrs. Powell. It's funny, when someone is truly shameless, laughter is the only response. He was the one who cheated, yet he still had the nerve to stand so righteously and accuse me. That evening, my close colleagues held a farewell party for me at a KTV. They were reluctant to let me go, but genuinely happy for the brighter future ahead. When I returned from the restroom, I caught sight of Michael in the neighboring private room with a group of friends. From their conversation, it was obvious they were talking about me. Brother Michael, is your wife really divorcing you this time? I'd say she's spoiled, another said. My wife acted up once too, but now she's obedient. Women can't be indulged. If it were me, I'd leave her. Let her divorce. There's still a 30-day cooling-off period. Once she realizes she isn't indispensable, she'll be scared. You all can't compare to Brother Michael, someone else chimed in. He's famous for doting on his wife. I knew their wives. Some secretly supported younger men with their husbands' money, others stayed only for the children, treating marriage as a long-term meal ticket. No woman nowadays would sacrifice for a scumbag without expecting something in return. Michael sat in silence, drinking. Then, as the room grew tense under his quiet, he suddenly said, "After all these years, it's time I taught her a lesson." The atmosphere instantly lightened, his friends cheering him on. Just then, someone spotted me. "Sister-in-law, what are you doing here? Looking for brother Michael? Come in, he's inside." Before I could react, one of them pushed me into the room. Michael's expression relaxed the moment he saw me. His grip on his wine glass loosened, though his face remained stern as he avoided my gaze. I noticed then that every man present had a female companion at his side, everyone except Michael. Ivan quickly explained, "Sister-in-law, don't misunderstand. These women are ours. They have nothing to do with brother Michael. Please sit, who else would dare sit next to him but you?" I hadn't noticed when, but Michael had already moved his coat aside, leaving an empty seat beside him. Ivan began clearing the room, telling the women to leave. I hurried to stop him. "No need. I'm here with my colleagues and need to go back anyway. Besides, Michael and I are getting divorced. This has nothing to do with me anymore." Before I could finish, Michael interrupted, unwilling even to hear the word. "Jenny, have you had enough fun? Even jokes have their limits." I met his eyes squarely. "I'm not joking. Do you remember what I told you the first time you got drunk at a KTV?" Michael's expression shifted, clearly recalling. Back then, drunk and confused, he had almost kissed another girl, mistaking her for me, until I arrived just in time. I had warned him then, "If you get dirty, I won't want you anymore." As I turned to leave, I heard the sharp sound of shattering glass. Michael had smashed his wine glass. "Jenny, you want a divorce, right? Fine. Let's meet at the Civil Affairs office tomorrow." "All right," I replied calmly. "That's exactly what I want." After the gathering, I returned to Michael's house to pack my belongings. Maura had already helped me rent a place near her own, so I wouldn't be staying here much longer. As I wheeled my suitcase out, I ran into Jessica, struggling to half carry a drunken Michael inside. Our eyes met, and she gave me a triumphant look before settling him onto the sofa. Just as she tried to pull away, Michael caught her in his arms. "Honey, I feel terrible, hold me." The more Jessica resisted, the tighter he clung. "Honey, don't leave me." Jessica's face flushed with embarrassment as she glanced at me. "Mr. Powell, please let go of me. Don't do this, there are others here." I had no interest in watching their farce any longer. With my suitcase in hand, I turned and left. The next day, I went with my lawyer to finalize the divorce. The assets were divided evenly, and the process was smooth. As we walked out, Michael turned to me and said, "Jenny, do you feel defeated now? Did you think I'd beg like before? Everyone has a limit. I won't always tolerate your nonsense." I didn't reply. I only looked at the divorce papers in my hand and smiled faintly. In 30 days, Michael and I would be strangers. Michael frowned. "I'll find another place for Jessica to stay in the next couple of days. I'll have my assistant transfer the rent to you." I nodded. "All right. I've already packed your belongings. The rest you can throw away. Don't forget to come back in 30 days. I turned to leave, but Michael spoke again. "Yesterday, it wasn't me who called Jessica to pick me up. I was drunk. She happened to call, and the waiter passed the phone to her. I didn't even pause." "Michael, you don't need to explain this much. It's your business." His face darkened further. The next day, I boarded a plane to S-City. Professor Lee had a 5-day academic forum he couldn't attend, so he asked me to go in his place. Wanting an escape and a chance to relax, I agreed. Those 5 days were fulfilling. I learned a great deal and met many respected figures in the field. I didn't think of Michael once. Love, I realized, isn't as important as people believe. There are far more meaningful things waiting to be done in life. The day after I returned, I went to the hospital as usual. As I walked out after work, I saw Michael standing not far away. He was leaning against a black Maybach, cigarette in hand. His clothes were wrinkled, his face haggard. A male colleague whispered to me, "That man has been waiting here for days. He even asked the security guards about you. When he learned you weren't working, he stayed outside anyway." The concern in his eyes was genuine. "Do you need help?" he asked. I shook my head. "No." Just then, Michael started walking toward me. As he drew closer, I noticed the bloodshot redness of his eyes, a sign he hadn't slept in days. His face was rough with stubble, uncharacteristic for someone with his usual obsession with cleanliness. "Dr. Gray," he sneered, "you're impressive, finding your next target so quickly. I wonder how he'll feel, knowing you still have a husband of 10 years. I met his gaze steadily. "Michael, maybe 10 years feels long to you. To me, it's nothing." Not getting the reaction he wanted, he faltered, his composure cracking. Jenny, did you think that disappearing for a few days would make me worry, drive me crazy? Too bad. I didn't call you once. You can ask your friends, I never even asked where you were. Then why are you here now? I asked coldly. Michael froze, unable to answer. After a long silence, he muttered, you changed the locks on the house. I couldn't get in. He was referring to the place where Jessica had been living. I nodded. Yes. That's my house. I'm planning to sell it. I changed the locks to keep unrelated people out. His eyes widened in disbelief. You're really going to sell it? Can you bear to part with it? What's there to be unwilling about? It's useless to keep it. The real estate agent will bring people to view it in a few days. If you still have belongings there, take them then. At the word useless, Michael's eyes turned red. A flicker of pain crossed his face. In the past, whenever we fought, that look of hurt would melt my anger. I'd laugh and forgive him, rushing to comfort him. But not anymore. He was no longer the Michael who gave everything for me, and I was no longer the Jenny who believed in him wholeheartedly. His tears now, whether for me or for another woman, meant nothing. I turned to leave, but he quickly stopped me. One more thing. I don't have time to pick up the divorce certificate later. We'll have to reschedule. For the first time, my indifference cracked, and he caught it. A faint, satisfied smile curved his lips. Michael, don't joke like that. No matter what, you must show up at the Civil Affairs office. I don't have time to waste with you. After all, I had already promised Professor Lee I would go abroad as soon as the divorce certificate was finalized in a month. I don't want this to end in a lawsuit. Michael's smile froze. Do you really want to divorce me that badly? Isn't that what you want too? This way you can be with Jessica openly. He didn't deny it. We'll see when the time comes. Anyway, I'm not sure about my schedule. Looking satisfied with the anger on my face, he turned and drove away. This video is an original work of the YouTube channel Romance Grove, and is published exclusively on this channel. Please don't re-upload or share it on other channels. Back home, I carried 2 bottles of wine to Maura's place. Michael is such a bastard, she cursed, slamming her glass down. If I had known he was this kind of man, I never would have helped him propose to you. I refilled our glasses, shaking my head with a smile. Who can predict the future? No matter how passionately love begins, it all depends on conscience in the end. I'm just grateful I found out before it was too late, while things are still manageable. Maura smirked, eyes glinting with a hint of schadenfreude. I heard that while you were gone those 5 days, Michael didn't even go to the company. Left everything to Ivan, and camped at the hospital entrance waiting for you. If he's like that after 5 days, what will happen when you really go abroad? Won't he go mad? I shrugged. I don't care. Right now, all I'm focused on is helping Professor Lee with his experiments once I go abroad, and worrying that Michael might stand me up on the day of the divorce certificate. Everything else isn't my concern. Maura raised her glass, clinking it against mine. All right, our sister Gray only has eyes for her career. I love it. The next morning, after we sobered up, I received a call from the real estate agent. We found a buyer for the house. He paid the full price without bargaining. Finally, some good news. I asked the agent to expedite the transfer. The following days were a blur of hospital handovers and preparations for my trip abroad. Michael called occasionally, asking trivial questions, where his ties were, his clothes. After a while, I stopped answering. If not for the divorce certificate, I would have blocked him completely. Later, Ivan came to see me. He told me Michael had fired Jessica, and that lately he hadn't been in good shape, getting drunk, even starting a fight. I had no sympathy left for this so-called brother-in-law of mine. If he's injured, he should go to the hospital. Telling me is useless. I knew Ivan's real intention, to plead for Michael. But the truth was never about Jessica. Yes, the mistress was disgraceful and deserved scorn, but the real rot was Michael himself. Without Jessica, there would have been someone else. Once a man tastes infidelity, it's never easy to let go. And I had no interest in becoming a bitter, resentful woman. The day before the divorce certificate was due came faster than I expected. I was at home packing my luggage, hesitating over whether I should call Michael to remind him. Before I made up my mind, the doorbell rang. Michael stood there, fury in his eyes and menace in his expression. Did you send those photos of me cheating to my father? I froze. What? Don't play dumb. If you hadn't told him about my affair, would he have had a heart attack at home? If Jess hadn't found him in time, the consequences could have been fatal. Only then did I realize what he was accusing me of. My face hardened. Yes, I had once thought about asking Mr. Powell to intervene, but I had dismissed it immediately. He had a weak heart. I would never risk his life for this. Michael, if you've lost your brain, you should go get it checked. I'm a cardiologist, do you think I would ever joke about a patient's life? Before I could finish, his fist slammed into the wall beside me. His eyes were filled with pain and rage. Jenny, you've disappointed me so much this time. I can't believe you'd stoop this low. Isn't divorce what you wanted? Fine. I'll grant it. I'll be there tomorrow. As I watched him storm away, the urge to explain drained out of me. He wouldn't believe me now, no matter what I said. Perhaps it was better this way. At least his anger guaranteed he would show up at the Civil Affairs office tomorrow. The next day, walking out of the Civil Affairs office with divorce papers in hand, I felt a crushing weight finally lift from my chest. Relief washed through me, while Michael's brow remained furrowed, his face clouded. He opened his mouth, but his phone rang first. Jessica's frantic voice spilled through the speaker. It was about Mr. Powell. Michael hung up, eyes darting to me with a complicated look. Jenny, think about this carefully. I'll come talk to you about us later. But we already had the divorce certificate. There was nothing left to discuss. As I watched him rush off, I whispered softly, Michael, goodbye forever. That afternoon, I packed my bags and boarded a flight to Germany. In Michael's eyes, I had always been throwing tantrums. He never understood me. Once I made a decision, I never looked back. Upon landing, the first thing I did was replace my SIM card. Apart from my parents and a few close friends, I cut off contact with everyone back home. I devoted myself completely to Professor Lee's research projects. 2 years passed in the blink of an eye. Our team was preparing to return to China with our latest results when I called Maura. There's something I never told you, she confessed. 6 months after you left, Michael came looking for me. I asked indifferently, so what? That bastard, to find out where you were, he knelt in the company lobby. It scared me so badly I called the police to haul him away. My brow lifted slightly. Was he really that crazy? Hearing his name now, I felt nothing, no anger, no sorrow. It was as though she was telling me gossip about a stranger. Maura snorted. Crazy, yes. Regretful, too. But why didn't he think about that earlier, that cheating scumbag? Enough about him, I'm surprised you never contacted me all this time. I laughed. Isn't the best way to forget someone to move on with someone new? Then why didn't you? Because forgetting doesn't depend on others, it depends on yourself. Michael taught me the most profound lesson: a man's sincerity is the least reliable thing. No one else can save you or heal your wounds. The ground I lost, I had to reclaim myself. If you use another person to forget, it's unfair to them. I knew, sooner or later, I would see Michael again. I had no intention of avoiding him. Still, I didn't expect to meet him at the very first industry cocktail party after my return. He stood not far away, eyes bloodshot, looking as though he might break down and cry. I turned to leave, but he caught my wrist and led me into the garden. There, Michael pulled me into his arms, repeating over and over, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I shoved him back and flung the red wine in my hand into his face. Are you sober now? If not, I'll gladly call the police to drag you out. He wiped the wine from his cheeks, his eyes clearer now but his expression even more desolate. I know everything Jessica did, the text she sent you, what happened with my dad. I've driven her out of the city. She'll never bother us again. Jen, I was wrong. About everything. And I regret it deeply. I laughed coldly. None of that matters anymore. Because I no longer love you, Michael. None of it matters. Tears streamed down his face. Jen, come back to me. I've never stopped loving you. Not for a moment in these years. My gaze was ice. Don't forget, we're already divorced. No. It's not like that. I never really wanted to divorce you. I just wanted to scare you. In my heart, you'll always be my wife. With trembling hands, he pulled a necklace from around his neck. Hanging from it was the wedding ring I had left on the dining table 2 years ago. Only then did I notice that he still wore his own ring on his finger. The sight disgusted me. Michael, we ended 2 years ago. Stop clinging to me. Don't make me despise you even more. My rejection had no effect on Michael. Once he learned where I was, he appeared again and again, insisting he wanted to pursue me. I won you over once in college. I can do it again. Jen, this time I won't let you go. I was exasperated. Do you think I'd fall into the same trap twice? The first time, I can blame it on being naive. But a second time? That would be pure stupidity. No matter how harsh my words, he refused to back down. In the end, I had no choice but to treat him as invisible and focus on my work. After all, I was only in China for a few months, and every day was filled with responsibilities. A few days later, Professor Lee was scheduled to perform a rare and complicated heart surgery. The patient's family had requested him long ago, and because the case was unusual, he asked me to assist. The surgery stretched on for 7 exhausting hours, from daylight into evening, but at last it ended successfully. Just as Professor Lee stepped forward to speak with the patient's family, chaos erupted in the corridor. Rumors spread that a disgruntled relative, dissatisfied with the hospital, had come armed with a knife to take revenge. As the man rushed toward us, I shoved Professor Lee aside, ready to launch a kick. But before I could act, someone threw their arms around me, locking me in place. It was Michael. I struggled, unable to break free, and in the next instant, the knife plunged into his back. When Michael woke the following noon, I was sitting at his bedside. He forced a reassuring smile. "Jen, don't worry. I'm fine." I glared at him. "Michael, are you an idiot? If it weren't for you, I could have handled that man easily. Do you know what I've been doing the past 2 years abroad? Besides my research, I trained in Sonda. At first, it was for fitness. Later, because life overseas isn't as safe as home, it became a way to protect myself. That man yesterday? He was no match for me. If you hadn't interfered, I would have subdued him already." My words made his face sink into desolation. "I was just worried you'd get hurt." "Unnecessary," I shot back. "And don't think you can use this injury as an excuse to beg for another chance. From the moment you called me disgusting, there was no turning back for us." His lips trembled. "So if I told you I never actually slept with Jessica, you wouldn't believe me, would you?" Then he gave a bitter laugh. "I didn't. At the hotel that night, I stopped at the last second. I thought of you, and I couldn't go through with it. Ridiculous, isn't it? Back then, I didn't explain because I was sulking. I just wanted you to lower your head, say something kind to me, even once, but you never did." Michael pulled a key from his wallet. "The house you sold 2 years ago, I bought it back. I couldn't bear the thought of anyone else living there. I've been staying in it ever since, surrounded by all our memories. Being there felt as if you'd never left." Tears spilled down his face as he spoke. His self-pity almost made me laugh. "Michael, you really are ridiculous. Do you think cheating is only physical? I saw you hold her. I saw you kiss her with my own eyes. You say you thought of me at the last moment, but I don't feel touched, only sickened." I stood to leave. He clutched at my sleeve, voice breaking. "Jen, is there really no chance for us?" I shook him off coldly. "Michael, let's part on good terms. Don't make me regret ever loving you." Without looking back, I walked out. Behind me, I could hear the raw sound of a man sobbing uncontrollably. In the days that followed, I never returned to the hospital to see him. He had plenty of people around him, he didn't need my care. Before long, I boarded a plane abroad once again. On the flight, Professor Lee discussed future research plans with the team. A few younger colleagues joked, complaining that the stress of work was making them lose their hair prematurely. Professor Lee sternly scolded them. I laughed quietly at their banter, gazing out at the distant horizon. The road ahead would no longer be confined by past shackles. I longed for a freer, wider sky.